So just to give a quick introduction, my name's Paulson. If you have never met me before, there's two different sides to HighLevel. There's the agency side and the software side. I help manage this agency side, and I was an agency owner myself, and I still am. And so a lot of the daily things that you guys go through every single day, I'm very familiar with, and I'm able to really just layer down and break down everything that happens in HighLevel in the marketing world in very simpler terms. I am not a technology oriented guy. I'm not a techie. I live in the sales business development world more than anything else. So what I want to do is really just help you guys understand what I understand about Eliza and how you guys can really leverage all of this. Just so you guys understand, the typical challenges that most agencies go through is very common across the board, right? We get a client or you niche down into an industry, and pretty soon what happens is your clients will start complaining about, quality of leads, quantity of leads, the type of leads that you're giving them, and really they'll have a lot of resistance. And I want to just kind of help you guys understand the role of Eliza in every single way and really keep it very simple. Okay, so there's about four actually, but about three main types of agencies that I think could take a look at Eliza and give it a good shot, in my opinion. So, and I'll kind of break down where the roles of the Eliza partners and how we vetted them and what they can do for you versus what you think you can do for yourself. We'll go through all the different strategies just so you guys understand. Give me a one below if you want to offer sales to your clients, but don't know how to go about it. Or you've had experiences where clients jumped on, relationships with you, and pretty soon they're complaining about quality of leads or quantity of leads or whatever. Give me a one on the chat if you've had that experience. Brandon says yes. Michael says yes. Gus says yes. And cool thing is I've got Addie as well as Joe that jumped in the call, and they are actually two of the partners out of the four. If the others jump in, that'll be awesome as well. So we may even have them chat with us in a little bit here as well. So let me just break this down in very simple terms. So there's about 3-4 different types of agencies that I think are mapping out their scenarios, okay? And I personally think you guys will be able to fit yourself into one of these categories. So one is the brand new agencies. You're new to the marketing world. You're discovering all these things about HighLevel, all these things about many software tools, different ways, different models. You have the pay-per-lead model, the pay-per-show model, the retainer model. There's 100 different ways to do the agency game, right? So I want to kind of just share with you the different levels that we see people will, in my opinion, will come into Eliza. So you have the brand new agencies. Clients, at that point, what you've figured out is like, okay, I know how to run Facebook ads. I know how to build a website, or I know how to do Google ads or SEO. You typically enter in through some sort of a coach, a gateway, whatever ecosystem of how to make money online, some sort of business plan, right? Somewhere, and you enter into a skill set typically, right? That person's going to teach you one or two, maybe three skill set, but then you hone into it and you're essentially just at a point where you're just providing leads, right? And, in the early stages of this, when I started off, I want to say about 2014 is when I started off in the agency world. I thought the holy grail of marketing is if I can get them leads, right? I thought I was going to solve a whole lot of problems, and my thought process was that it's going to solve the biggest problem they have, which is new business, right? In reality, what I found out was most of these small business owners are not good at sales. They're just good operators in their niches, in their, service lines, right? So what I realized is I need to talk to the other agencies that are doing this, right? So I would reach out to bigger agencies, smaller agencies, and really try to understand what is it that they do differently versus what I'm doing. At the time, I'm just throwing leads at them, right? So these small to business size agencies, they've been doing this for about a year or maybe even 2 years, right? And what happens is they know that they cannot just give these clients leads, and they know that the clients are not going to follow up on their scheduled appointments or anything like that. So what do these medium-sized agencies do? What they do is really help these clients track what is exactly happening to these leads, right? So some of you do that with HighLevel, right? You set up your opportunities and show them the sales cycle they're in. Hey, business owner, this is where you come in and interject into the conversations, and you're really helping them track these leads, right? But in reality, you're still dependent on those business owners or their front desks to actually manage these leads, right? You're at the mercy of what they do with the leads in order for you to keep your retainers or whatever agency model that you're selling. Okay. Everybody, you're with me so far, right? Now you have the large agencies, right? They get a little bit more crafty. They typically try to set up their own, you know, two-person VA system, or somebody out in India or something that's just going to field a call or manage a conversation or manage an email. And I'm speaking from experience, and I'm going to share some stories here as well. And what these large agencies do over time is, figure out who are the independent agencies that'll just single-handedly manage the calls, right? So you have ISAs, right? And you have companies like Jill's Office, you have companies like Scheduling Institute, Ask Ruby, these types of services, right? And they have different models and things like that. And I'm not saying you can't work with them. I just think we have a much better solution, and I'm going to help you understand what the actual solutions are, right? So there's three types of agencies: the brand new, they realize they have a skill, they can generate the leads, but they're dependent on the clients, right? They get canceled all the time because nobody's handling the sales component of marketing, right? Sales component of your lead generation activities, right? Then the small to business medium-sized agencies, they know that they can't just do the leads, they help them track it, right? Back in the day, we used to set up like Active Campaign and zap them into the email notifications and all these little fancy things, right? And now you can just throw them all into HighLevel and they can manage it. But you're still at the mercy of them managing, right? And large agencies, they know the difficulty of building an in-house sales team. Okay. And I want to kind of also share with you guys my own experiences of building out a sales team and how that was miserable, and how it was one of the biggest reasons the way myself and Rob and Alex connected. And I'll share a story there as well. So large agencies use these big providers, right? Now, the biggest thing that you got to figure out is like the margins and quality of services, and you don't know what you're getting, right? There's plenty of, phone answering services out there, but you don't know if they understand marketing. You don't know if they understand lead generation. You don't know how they value your leads and things like that. So I want to just kind of, unpack that with you guys as well. Okay. You guys with me so far? So let's talk in football terms, right? I want to make it a little bit more fun for you guys as we're about to enter into Super Bowl weekend, right? And believe it or not, I rather play sports than watch sports. I'm more of a basketball guy, but I just thought it's a good timely analogy for you guys to just kind of refresh your minds, right? So we've been talking about SaaS all this time, and the reason why we're saying SaaS, SaaS, SaaS is because we know that agency services have a very high churn rate, right? So if your quarterback is SaaS, we think your wide receiver is going to be agency services. That guy is going to drop the ball more than 60% of the time. Doesn't matter what you give them. It could be an SEO throw, right? It could be a Facebook lead ads throw. It could be, a Google ads, one of the, what is it called? Hail Marys, right? It doesn't matter. They're going to drop it 60% of the time. Whether your fulfillment is good, whether your account management is good, it doesn't matter. Your clients are going to fire you majority of the time, right? And it's not because of you or the industry or anything. They simply don't have the sales acumen of what it takes to convert somebody. That's the reality, right? And then you have industries that are a bit more sales friendly, like real estate, insurance, where or automotive spaces. They're sales professionals, right? But guess what? They don't have a system that gets the ball there, right? They don't have a tracking method, or they have the wrong type of lead. They don't have the right offers. So typically you have to come in with the business strategy that helps them get there. Now, Eliza, I think, is an interesting play because if you were to just sell sales as a service, I think you get closer to the revenue line of the business with or without marketing, right? That's one side of it, right? So naturally, the value of you as a vendor and a provider, I think, elevates. Now, how do you go about providing sales for your clients, right? You guys with me so far? Okay. Now, before I go into everything Eliza related, what I want to help you guys understand is your account management style, right? The way and the style that you normally handle those relationships with your clients, right? Let me see. I've got somebody chatting here. Okay, cool. Yeah, Gus says yes. Awesome. So those of you that are watching on Facebook, I'm not really fielding Facebook. Jump into the Zoom call. There's a link right above it, and I'm just going to field the questions that are in the chat, and we'll do a Q&A and all that. So, when I first started off in the agency world, my first instinct was, and I had enough experience to understand that I needed a competitive advantage over everybody else. And that's all I was thinking about. It wasn't focused on the quality of service and this and that. I was more focused on what is my client's experience with me. So when I started off in the dental world, what I did was I charged a whole lot more than everybody else, right? I was charging $3,500 a month on retainers, and I would provide everything to the client. I mean, we would fly into their location. I would call like the local videographers and photographers, do a photo shoot, do a sales training on site, and I'll set up their active campaign, get ready to run Facebook ads. And then month 2, month 3, I'm fixing their website, I'm fixing their SEO. It was like all in one marketing package, right? And some of you still remember me from those days of when I was just focused on dental, right? And the reason why I'm sharing that is because in the dental space at the time, you couldn't build a true competitive advantage as just a marketing agency. The entire industry already hated marketing altogether. We were public enemy number one. There were people in there that was already running Facebook ads. They're dentists coaching dentists on how to run Facebook ads, right? So I thought to myself, they don't like marketers, but they don't have a big problem with consultants. So I positioned myself as the consultant. You pay 3,500 or $4,000. I provide all of marketing. And what I did was act as a CMO, right? I got away from the fulfillment piece of my whole business, right? And I said, you know what? I just want to be the CMO of that dental practice. How can I position myself to be there? And that's when I really discovered the concept of Eliza. And I want to just kind of share with you of how easy it's going to be for you guys today. But I want to really help you understand the fundamentals of it. So first thing I did was stop doing the Facebook ads myself, right? So I would do the apps and all these things and set up surveys and forums, and it was drowning, right? I was spending like 20, 30 hours a week for each client just trying to watch YouTube videos because I'm still new. I don't know all these skills, and I'm seeing other people just deliver results left and right. I'm like, dude, I should be able to do the same thing, right? So what I did was like, how can I find a guy that's going to do the delivery of the ads management like the way I did, right? And I found this guy named Robin Alex in 2015, and he was like all in the medical space. And I'm like, you know what? Let's connect. I got an idea. What do you think of this? And Robin at the time, he was already advanced than me. He was already in the marketing game for like 2-3 years by then. And when we chatted, what I learned from him is that the bigger agencies weren't just providing marketing. They were managing sales and marketing together. And we were both trying to figure out, how do we elevate ourselves to be a bigger agency and provide the sales? And I'll share a story with you guys on how we figured this out. So I first got my delivery side out of the way. And then what I did was focus on my clients and how they manage those leads. Because after the first or second client that I lost, losing like 7K was a lot, right? I needed to figure out a way to have stickiness because I was positioning myself as the high ticket agency. I did not want to sell $1,000 retainers like it's common today, right? In 2014, 15, it was okay to charge a whole lot more because there were less people, it was less saturated, things like that. So I thought about it. How can I call the place and not be the player, right? So I needed somebody that was going to handle sales, or I needed to do it myself, or I fly into those locations and train them. Believe it or not, this the third time I sold the package, I charged my client extra 500 bucks. The 500 bucks gave me about, flying out of Houston gave me about, a couple $100 to fly into their location, gave me enough fees for staying at a random hotel. And what I would do is go into the dental practice for like a week, and I would sit down with the front desk and teach them sales. So meanwhile, on the side, I would be learning sales. On the other side, I would be teaching sales. This is what I did with my front desk for my dental practice. This is crazy, right? And after a while, they started getting better and better and better. And then month later, like 2 months later, I find out, well, the dentist let the front desk lady go because she was garbage at managing insurance billing. And I'm like, well, that throws me off because my whole retainer is dependent on her skill level, right? So when I shared all these problems with Robin, Robin was like, hey, I think there's a play here. There are a couple of companies like Jill's Office and Scheduling Institute that bigger agencies leverage. At the time, these bigger agencies would be getting charged like $2,000-$3,000 a month, right, per account. So you didn't have enough margins to bring these big institutions into your retainer. It was rather hard, right? So what I did was figure out, how do I solve this? Because I know that if I solved the sales mentality and the sales problem of my client, I can win my marketing retainer, right? So I went on this quest of figuring out this sales team, this independent sales team. So first thing I did was so I threw out some Craigslist ads and I said, hey, $45 an hour, we're looking for appointment setters, right? So I threw it all into Houston, like our local area, and I'm like, oh, I gotta, throw some headphones at them and headsets at them. They're gonna be able to manage my leads, right? So I do this whole rah-rah of like almost 15 plus um, appointment setters, and I called that my independent sales agency, right? So what I did was go back to my client and I said, you know what? We will handle your sales for you, but I'm going to charge you an extra additional $1,000. Boy, wasn't that a mistake, because I lost my retainers faster than anything else when I went from 3,500 to 4,500 to offset my sales management cost. So that whole model fell flat on my face, right? And I had to reconfigure all these things, right? So couple of things that I want to mention to you guys about my lessons that I learned on running this thing by myself. One, if you are going to do sales management and provide that, it's going to be nearly impossible for you to do the actual technical fulfillment on top of it. There's just not many hours, right? If you have a big team of like maybe let's say 5, 6 people, even then you need to dedicate somebody to the sales piece for your clients and essentially provide consulting, right? And monitor and hawk all these things. And then I recommend you guys becoming the CMO and the coordinator instead of doing a lot of these services yourself, right? So let's go a little deeper into the role of Eliza. You guys with me so far? Give me a 1 if you're with me so far. Cool, awesome. So what I want you guys to understand as a business owner, right? Think outside of being an agency owner. At the end of the day, what you should be able to come in to your desk every single day is handle finances, right? Your margins, taking a look at your margins, your churn rate, if anything, right? The results that you're giving to your clients and the actual strategies, right? If you're running your business and you're doing a lot of the work, right? You're being the player. You're not being the GM or the coach. What that means is you created a job instead of being an entrepreneur, right? You created a job for yourself, and that defeats the purpose of why you started a business, which is for freedom, right? So now, why offer lead management and sales altogether? Well, there's two big reasons. First problem is the quantity, right? You've got to have the right business strategies, the right offers to drive quantity. Okay. And back then, one of the biggest difficulties on this was most sales agencies, right? They will not handle outbound management of sales. They will not touch a call or an interaction if it's outbound, because they didn't consider that to be lead generation and lead management. They considered that to be a prospecting package, right? So you literally had to drive the right offers and traffic to get the phones to ring. So I'm over here in the back end changing my Facebook ad strategy to Google click to call back then, and I would drive them to like a random number on a landing page somewhere, and I'm hoping that it's going to call that center that I have already assigned to, and I'm paying thousands of dollars for it, right? So even if you generated 100 leads, how many of those are actual inbound calls? So these are some of the things that back then I had a lot of difficulty with on executing this out, right? So the first problem was quantity. It's not just generating the leads. Is it actually going to generate a phone call, right? The number two biggest client complaints that I used to get was quality of leads. Initially, they're going to complain about quality of leads as soon as they face an adversity on the call. As soon as you get declined, how many of you guys have a hard time in sales? Whenever you're managing and selling your own retainers, you know how difficult it is to get through objections, get through the psychology piece, and really help them understand what you're offering and move them over. Your clients have to do that for their industry, right? So let's say you're one of those agencies that have a niche down. I had the fortunate, acumen to dental in, right? I was just niching down in one, so I only had to figure out one industry. But some of you are serving like 5, 6 industries. You're not going to be a real estate expert at the same time as healthcare, at the same time as automotive, at the same time as, I don't know, something else you're selling, right? You have to narrow down. Even then, you're not going to be able to keep up with the quality of leads that's required for somebody with lower sales acumen to actually close every single time, right? They're not going to convert even if you try to provide that, right? So the two big scenarios is quantity and quality. Both of these things was nearly impossible when your clients are the one managing sales, right? Because if you were to just throw a alley-oop at them and a layup, they're going to screw that up somehow, right? And that was a scenario that was happening. And guess what? You're getting customized leads. You're getting Google Ads leads. You're getting YouTube leads. You're getting Facebook leads. You're getting Instagram leads. There's a lot of value to these leads, right? Cost of acquisition is rising every single day in most of these platforms. So the value of these leads are getting higher and higher. And that's one other problem of why you don't want your clients to manage leads. Now let's talk about Eliza. Okay, you guys with me so far? I just wanted to layer out the fundamentals of how to look at offering sales first. Okay, let's talk about Eliza. Right, there's two ways to go about it. Right, you have the platform. Right, Eliza is its own separate platform. Right, that integrates with HighLevel. We built it ourselves. Right, now you can purchase Eliza yourself. So you can upgrade to the $497 plan, the Pro plan, then add on Eliza and try to figure it all yourself. Okay, that's the do-it-yourself management. I think it's one of the worst things you can do to yourself, honestly, right? Because you're not going to be able to manage the services side as well as sales, right? It's just nearly impossible. I know what it takes to build a sales team. I've built several of them, right? Never was it when I was managing my own agency at the same time. It's nearly impossible, right? So the done for you option is where I think there's a lot of value, right? The done for you management is where the partners come in, right? So you have the option of doing it all by yourself, right? Maybe you can stick somebody in there that's going to help you with the tech side, that's going to help you with tracking side, that's going to help you with recruitment. And guess what, you have to have some serious leadership skills and cultural skills for you to keep these team members indoctrinated and leveled for them to actually perform on top of that. It's quite the work. Okay, so the done for you management allows you to not have to upgrade to the pro plan. You don't have to upgrade to the pro plan to get Eliza enrolled. You only have to upgrade to the pro plan if you're going to do it yourself, right? Unless you want SaaS features or something else, you can stay on your normal 297 plan. And all you have to do is reach out to some of these partners. We have 4 of them, and we vetted them out, right? And I'll go through each one of them and kind of share with you what I know about them. And I know 2 or 3 are in the call today, so they could even speak up. And I want to help you understand the value of going with any one of these partners. Okay. And when we say Eliza partners, we're talking about they are partnered with HighLevel. They speak to us. They interact with us. So they're interacting with us closely, right? Now, the cool thing is, well, back in the day, when I tried to have a independent sales agency run my leads, first thing I had to do was teach them the system, right? I would literally do a in-service on how I set up Active Campaign. It was like a week and a half process trying to get the right people in there just to teach them the system. With Eliza partners, they already know HighLevel. Their entire teams are trained in HighLevel. They understand business models, right? They're established agencies. They're not some random newbies that we just brought in out of nowhere that can handle some calls. That wasn't the intention. It was more about having established providers that will provide high quality services to you guys. Okay. So these partners are very vetted. Okay. It took us a long time to understand their process and say, yes, this makes sense to have this combination of providers. Okay. So the second thing, or the third thing, is they're cost effective, right? And I'm not talking about their specific prices. Maybe across all 4 of them, they may have different offers, prices, things of that nature. That's irrelevant for me. What I want to share with you is cost effective compared to you building your own sales business, your sales department, right? For you to do the recruitment, your HR, your payroll, your interview process, and then training. Try training some salespeople. See what happens. It's miserable, right? They typically don't learn fast. They have their set ways, and they all think they can close, right? And I'm saying this respectfully, and some of you are very good at sales. As business owners, doesn't mean your entire staff is going to be good at sales, right? So they're much more cost effective versus you trying to run your own sales department, right? And then the other cool thing about some of them is that they have specific industry expertise, right? Some of them are very strong in the fitness space. Some of them are very strong in the healthcare space. Some of them are very strong in the real estate space. They have their own expertise. Some of them are very strong in, managing massive virtual assistant teams. Whatever it is, every single one of them have their own pieces and competitive advantage. I'm not saying go pick one or the other. I want you guys to interview all of them and pick your favorites out of them and figure out the business relationship and deals that you can strike with them. But what we can tell you from HighLevel is that we trust our partners. We went through loops and hoops to understand their process, their SOPs, before we just said, yes, it makes sense to have these partners for our entire community, right? And one thing that I can tell you about these partners, they have quick onboarding processes, right? You're not going to wait a month to get all these things locked in and loaded, especially if you have lead generation. I don't know about you guys, but when I onboard a client, I want my lead generation starting in less than 10 days, right? So imagine if you have to wait on a call center like I did back in the day, and literally like a 2.5 week training before I could even go live with my ads. By then, half the retainer is already gone, right? I have to justify 15 days left on a retainer, right? And then they also have their partner resources. Some of them may be able to provide you SOPs and trainings and things like that. And the cool thing is, you don't have to, with Eliza Partners, this completely eliminates that industry of trying to find independent agencies that's going to handle sales for you. So you don't have to deal with companies like Jill's Office and Scheduling Institute or Ask Ruby. I mean, if you compare and contrast some of their limitations, most of them only do inbound stuff. And most of them are very high priced. And they don't typically work with marketing agencies at scale. They rather work with small business owners themselves and figure out, full realm, right? So having Eliza Partners differentiates that. They already know HighLevel. They're vetted by us. We trust them. Okay. Now, who are the actual partners? Let me see who's actually on this call. Let's see. I see Addie is on. I see Joe is on. Hey guys, you want to unmute yourself and have a word with us?
What's up, guys?
Hey
Am I
Joe,
on? Hold on.
driving, bro?
Yeah, I'm going to pick up my kid.
Nice,
Pick up
man.
my daughter from school.
Hey Joe, tell
Cool.
us about yourself, man. Tell us what we
Yeah,
should know about you. How did you get into this business? And I think this is my first time talking to you as well, right?
yeah. I don't know. We may have slacked back and forth one time, but
Yeah.
not too much detail. But so I've been in
And Joe,
marketing for a long.
your company is Level 9, right?
Yeah, so I have Level 9 Virtual, and that's my VA, my virtual assistant services company. We just crossed the 1,000 VA mark, so we have a lot of VAs. We serve a lot of the community. We were the first VA company to actually create VA services for HighLevel. I was one of the original signups in the very, very way back in the days of HighLevel, and watched it grow to what it is today. So it's been a blast. I also have an agency in the wedding space, and so I deal with wedding venues and vendors, and we do pretty significant size business now. I've got a ton of experience in the marketing agency world. I used to have a big old office space with a whole bunch of people and glass doors and glass walls and fancy shit, and then realized that didn't serve really anybody. And I niched down. I went all back to a virtual team. My entire company's based. The VAs are in the Philippines. Me myself, like kind of my claim to fame is that I don't actually work. And so I look for investment opportunities. I look for business opportunities. The VA space, is getting crowded. It's getting crazy. So we do, like you, trying to carve out our niche. I'm probably, we got into HighLevel, and I went straight in and said, look, everybody's going to need help with HighLevel. So let's be the first company to offer services for agencies. So we did that, and we were able to, carve out a pretty good size of the market and really serve. And since then, it's just kind of morphed into a bunch of other things. With over 1,000 VAs, we have a really significant operation. We understand, building teams, building culture, doing all those things. When what's funny is Eliza, when I talked to Sean, I said, hey man, we've got all these VAs serving all of these different agencies. The problem is we have to log in and log out of everybody's account to manage their messaging. How can we do that? And he goes, oh, we could build a dashboard for it. And I think it was 4 or 5 months later, Eliza was built. And I was like, man, this is great. And I said, so what do we do? And he goes, well, we're going to create some partners. And I said, awesome, I'm in. And so, we jumped right into it.
Awesome.
So I mean, that's kind of my story. We've got, I kind of take my model, with the agency space, and I replicate it. So we went from weddings, then I jumped into home services, built a small agency there. We had about 100 and something clients, and then I sold it. And then I replicated again and went into the campground and RV park space, and that's been pretty cool. And I'm just always looking for the next thing, and
Awesome.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Joe.
Yeah, you got it.
And just so you guys know, I never reached out to any of the partners to jump into the call or anything like that. He happened to have, to be on the call, and Addie is also on the call, and I've heard great things about Addie as well, just like Joe. Addie, do you want to speak up? Are you able to speak up?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
Hey,
Hey, so yeah, my name's Adi Campuzano. My
I'm
company,
sorry.
oh, you're good, you're good. My company is Dedicated Office, and we have 20 years experience as an inbound and outbound call center. So we've been working with small businesses and agencies for a very long time. We got involved with HighLevel over a year ago, and we dived in and really kind of fell in love with the community and the opportunity to work with agencies to bridge the gap. We would always have gotten hired by businesses who were savvy enough to know that they had their marketer, but they also needed help bridging the gap from the lead to actually getting the customer to them. And a lot of businesses are self-aware in that they kind of understand that they don't always have the resources with their staff or themselves to answer every call or to call every lead. And nobody wants to waste their advertising dollars. So we were brought in on the business side for years and years to call their home advisor leads, their Angie's List leads, to work with their Facebook marketers to capture all of their SEO. And so now that we've partnered with agencies and we work with a ton of agencies in the HighLevel community, we're able to give you guys the ability to be a complete done for you service. And so it really has become a game changer for agencies to go from just providing leads to actually providing leads plus a calling, which equals appointments. So it gives you the opportunity to service the agency in a way that really proves results. And we have proven systems, and we are so regimented in the way that we attack it. We call leads within 5 minutes. We have all the triggers set up. We are in the US, we are based in Texas, and so our entire staff is local here in North Dallas, and we are fully functional on the phone. We're very savvy, articulate. You would love every single one of our girls. They have so much personality. And so we call leads promptly. We also text and use the Eliza platform. And we've been, same as Joe, kind of going in and out of HighLevel accounts all day long. And so having the Eliza platform allows us the opportunity to, manage all of that communication in one place and just be more efficient in that regard. So we handle texting, we handle conversations, pipelines, we move things along, we work in your HighLevel, plus we do all the calling. And when we call out, we're available as an inbound center to receive the call backs when people see a missed call, or if the business even has a need for just their general reception to be handled. So we're super excited about this platform and the ability to work with you guys and be a partner with HighLevel. Because we're huge fans and we use it every day.
Yeah.
And so it's great to get on here and meet everybody.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Adi. So what I want to just kind of also just mention to you guys is, we're working close with Joe, Adi, Todd Westra, as well as Dean Howe, right? And you may think they all are competing with each other, and that's not really the case. We went through to make sure there's differentiation in what they're truly offering, right? You want to interview every single one of them. They have different things to offer. They have different expertise, different types of functionality, different strengths and weaknesses, in my opinion. And I think you should give everybody a fair shot and have the conversation. And they bring something to the table for HighLevel that's just different. We have versatility there, right? I can promise you, none of the partners are the same. If we did that, then we would just have one partner that handles all of it, right? It just wouldn't work that way. We wanted differentiations among them. So each one of you at different levels can actually collaborate with them. They are folks with great business acumen that have built multi seven-figure businesses. They're not just agency owners, and we know very well of what they can provide for you at the core of your business. Now, here's what I want to do. I don't know if Joe and Adi are able to stay in. I know Robin is just about to jump in, and he was just finishing up another call. Hey, Robin, you there, buddy?
Hey there, how's it going, everyone?
Hey man. So we were just having a full session on our football talk here. I just laid out the foundations of how they should look at providing sales for their businesses and their agencies and their clients and things like that. We also had Joe chime in and just kind of introduce himself. Also, Adi was able to join as well. And Todd and Dean, if you guys are ever going to watch the replay later today, feel free to comment and kind of mention some things about your businesses as well. And those are other great partners as well. Robin, do you remember in like 2015 when I reached out to you and I was telling you I was losing clients left and right because we had to figure out a sales solution? Can you talk about that and how we kind of went around that whole thing?
Yeah, so yeah, a long time ago, the common goal for a lot of agencies was just running leads. Like, let's just pound the customer with a ton of leads, and they're going to love you. Well, in reality, they're always going to think, you're not giving me dollars. Leads mean nothing, and so that's why agencies run into this cycle of churn and burn. You're trying to replace that customer over and over again. And yeah, years ago when Paulson was running his agency, he would reach out to me like, "Hey, Robin, what do I do? What am I what do I, how do I solve it?" And it's like, well, either you have to sit down and train your customer and try to help them build up their sales team, which that's really hard, or you need to find some answering service or get a team or build a team. And I think at that point you call me back and you're like, yeah, I found like 4 or 5 companies. They're super expensive, but it's the only thing that I could do. And I think for those customers that you implemented it, it worked. And I think as
Well,
the marketing,
it worked to some extent, right? But it was hard to keep up because guess what? Some of those providers were actually in relationship directly to my clients, not even to me as an agency. So there was a lot of weaknesses in that model, just so you guys know at the time.
yeah, and it's the same thing that we talk about, globally at HighLevel. You need to put your brand out there so that you own the relationship. Because if you send a customer somewhere to like HubSpot or Infusionsoft, they're quick to, their HubSpots of the world own the relationship with the client, so they'll wave you out of the relationship. And I think in the same context, the Jill's Office of the world or Ruby, whatever, like if the customer doesn't like you, they'll push you out and they'll keep up with that relationship. And so what we've done here at HighLevel is try to figure out how do we holistically solve this bigger problem that agencies deal with. A long time ago, or a couple of months ago, the biggest challenge, people got it in their head that AI was going to solve all of their problems when you talk about lead handling. And so we went down that path and we just realized like that's not true. You have to have that human capability behind it. But then we also took another step back and said,
That's one point I didn't elaborate well enough. So can you talk about that? What does the AI solve, which I think is like the 60% mark, and the other is the human rollover. And a lot of the partners, what they can handle is the rollover part, right? So I didn't elaborate on that. Can you kind of unpack that for us?
Yeah, so a couple months ago, there's this big push on AI, and AI is supposed to solve it because it's always learning and stuff. And it's partially true. The problem is, if you roll that out today, it's only going to answer about 10, 20, maybe 30% of conversations. But what happens when no one responds? You as the agency are back to the original problem. Your customers are not following up. And so we went down that path and trying to figure out how do we solve this. And the only solution that we kept coming back to is you have to have humans behind the scenes to be able to respond to that. And, that's where we try to find who are the best players in the community that can help provide that human rollover, because we also know a lot of agencies, maybe you're smaller or you just don't want to get into that world. I mean, it's a tough game of keeping up with conversations, managing it, things like it takes a special skill set to be able to do it and do it at a high level that you're producing results for. So we went out and just talked to the best people in the market that offers this. And the advantage that we have with these partners is they actually know HighLevel. They're very intimate with the platform. They know how to manage it. They also know the marketing industry, because I think that's also the other challenge. You talk to these answering services, all they know is when somebody calls, yeah, we'll take a message, click.
Yeah, they were answering service more than, somebody that I can trust to convert leads. Does that make sense? Like I needed somebody to convert leads because that was going to be the factor that kept my retainer on lock. If I just fielded a bunch of answers, that's still not going to solve the problem. So you really have to have great teams like the Eliza partners who actually understands marketing, who actually understands sales cycles and what it takes to convert your actual leads with the right psychology, right?
Yeah, and I also believe, if you look at the smaller agencies, so there's what 30 people, a little under 30 people here on the live Zoom. For a lot of the agencies that are struggling at trying to be at anywhere from 1 to 5 customers, like these changes, like while it might seem like a big thing to roll this in, like this is the difference of you keeping more customers and bumping up to 10 to 20 customers forever, right? That's the best part about this. And so this one little change that you can put into your business and partnering with these professional companies that this is all they do, like I just see this as the way that you grow your company to the next level. And so if you're not taking this seriously, you are going to miss out, and you're always going to be on this little hamster wheel of, well, I lost 3 customers, they told me the leads are bad, or it's not working, so let me go chase another
Yeah.
2 customers to replace them. And you never break out of it. And it's, you implement this, and now you don't have to worry about it as much.
Yeah.
It's, you're helping the customer find success, so you can go back to selling or prospecting or whatever you need to do to grow your actual business.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I see some of you guys that are posting some of the questions in the chat. If you're in the Facebook group, feel free to jump into the Zoom and I can go through your Q&A as well. So I see a few questions coming in. Robin, I'm gonna have you as the expert. I know Adi is staying on. Joe, feel free to chime in, guys, if there's questions relevant to your businesses as well as your thought process on this. Lisa is asking, hey, do you have any of these partners that may have experience in B2B markets? And I can probably tell you, probably almost every single one of the partners have B2B experience. That's kind of the standard on this type of space. But Robin, what are your thoughts on that when it comes to
Yeah,
the B2B markets?
yeah, I think every partner that we work with is bringing a lot to the table. I think they're all strong in many different areas and they've all worked in many different industries. So I don't think that should be your concern. I think for you as a newer agency who's trying to figure out how do you structure this, this is a big relationship, that you need to have, because they're going to be the X factor for you serving your clients. So meet with all of them, and they all can do the technicals and they can all deliver at the pace that you want. I think it comes down to who do you feel the most comfortable with, and that you feel comfortable positioning back to your clients from a white label perspective, because it's also part of your brand. So meet with all of them and understand their methods. You also want to talk to them so that you understand, like, when you sign on a client, here's the best way to onboard, and here's the industry, so here's what I'm pitching to my client, here's what
Yeah.
the client is expecting. So you want to make sure that
Yeah.
you're working on both ends there.
Yeah, definitely. And in simpler terms, guys, it's not just about generating the leads. It's about generating the right leads, handling those leads, converting those leads, and then having stickiness to any services that you ever provide or provide to your clients. And the Eliza partners are going to help you, manage the conversion process. They understand the systems, they understand marketing as well. I see there's some more questions here. Lisa says, how is Eliza continuously learning? For this to happen, you have to keep learning on new data. So I'm wondering where you're getting this data.
Yep. So Eliza in itself, so when we were going down this path, we were trying to figure out, like, how do we roll this out? To properly do it, you have to have verticalized bots. So you need to have a bot in every single industry that you work on. The problem there is it's impossible. I mean, we have a little over 7,600 agencies in the platform now, hundreds of thousands of small businesses, and all the way down to pet cemeteries, all the way to I was talking to someone who does pet CPR on the, like, it's just all over the place on types of businesses. And so how do you create verticalized bots? And so we basically said, what are we the best at HighLevel? So it's taking leads and converting them to appointments. And so what Eliza focuses on, it's taking that conversation. If somebody says, hey, Paulson, do you want to book an appointment? And you say something along the lines of, yes, I do. Well, we have a conversation flow that comes in.
Yeah.
But reality is that's 10 to 20, 30% of lead conversations that actually happen that way.
Yeah.
And
And
so when it
on
fails,
that
that's where the
note, Robin, on that note, sorry to interrupt. On that note, if I was an agency and I decide I'm gonna try to figure this out on my own and I do the do it yourself side, and I know we've talked about it and our judgment was most of the time that's gonna probably fail and fall on your face, right? Help us understand the lift there if I
yeah,
were to try to do this on my own.
yeah. So I mean, anytime that you go into a new endeavor like this, you have to fail a few times. You have to run into mistakes, things of that nature, just to figure out the right sauce and the right process to be able to pull it all together. Like I said, it takes a very specialized skill set to accomplish this because you have to manage a team. There are going to be, different time zones or 24/7 coverage. Working with humans, everyone has, sick days and off days, and, they need to take time off because their car is broken down. So you need to be able to staff that and know how to manage that. And at the same time, you can't let your client down. You need to have the reporting in place and putting all those pieces together, which is a big lift. On top
Yeah.
of that, remember, you're running a marketing agency. Who's running that business and who's trying to grow that at the same time?
Yeah,
So mostly
and then
early
and then getting the right culture in there to actually perform, right?
yeah.
It's
And
quite a
so
bit.
it's a big lift, mostly when you're kind of at that startup phase, not a lot of customers and stuff. Focus on growing the business and leveraging these partners who you can have an alliance with. And that's really how you can scale up a lot faster.
Yeah. Claude says, "Hey Claude, how are you?" He says, "Can we use these partners as for our own agency leads?" My thought process would be they have enough experience in multiple industries. So for them to deal with agency leads, I don't think that's a big deal. It's more about their skill level that can handle not just your agency leads, but all of your clients. And let's say you don't niche down and you have 5, 6 industries. I'm sure even if you just went with one of the Eliza partners, they will be able to handle all those industries. Anne's asking which company is Robin with. Robin's one of the founders of HighLevel, and I know these webinars are new for you. So yeah, appreciate you being on here. Landon says, any idea on a selling price point to the clients? Well, honestly, the way I was doing it at the time was I was the high ticket agency. I was selling, $3,500 retainers, and I didn't feel comfortable adding on another $1,000 to provide sales, right? So it just depends on your model. If let's say you're charging $1,500 retainers, what is the value to you if you can keep those clients and just charge them an extra $1,000, right? What if you charge them an extra $500? Each one of these partners are going to have different levels for you so you can calculate your margin. So it's really, really important that you interview all four of them, right? And really understand who's the perfect partner for your specific business model, right? What if you're one of those agencies that just do pay per lead model or pay per show? You still have a good qualified Eliza partner out of any four of these that you'll be able to kind of manage. But Robin, any thoughts on that? How
Yeah,
they
yes.
bring in the margin on this?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways you can look at it. One is if you're looking at the long-term play, retention is the biggest piece. It might be something that you need to find the partner that allows you to bake it into your $2,500 retainer, and it's kind of all inclusive. There's also the other types of agencies that basically say, hey, my retainer fee is this, and we're providing leads, but you need to find somebody within your company to handle the lead management and stuff like that. But we have a better option for a lower cost. We can offer that service for you. So you don't have to train up, a receptionist or, someone who's on their computer all day because you're a small office or a small team. So you can offer it. And I've seen, companies who basically do this all the way up to $2,500 a month, $3,000 a month, which is cheaper than getting a full-time resource. And you're able to offer a wider coverage. You can have 3 people manning, with these partners, they can put 3 people, managing the conversations, putting it out 24 hours a day in some cases. You also need to understand the industry that you're in. What are their alternative options? Are they looking at some, other companies that's out there that probably doesn't do a good enough job, and they're spending hundreds of dollars? They're like in the plumbing space, there's go-to providers, things like that. And I think the advantage that you get here is you get an intimate relationship with these partners, and they know the product and service, and they have access to the Eliza bot. which they can help leverage for you as well.
Yeah, and I also want to add something on to what Robin is sharing. When you have a sales department at your fingertips, right? The cool thing about that is that you have agility. You're not just dependent on professional marketing services. So some of you that I've spoken with, we've had the ideas of like, let's say you roll in, right? Let's say you roll in when it comes to your quarterback, just SaaS, right? And instead of just selling agency services, let's say you don't want to sell Facebook ads. Let's say you don't feel like selling Google ads anymore. Imagine if you set up a cold traffic channel, let's say Ulink or LinkedIn or something, or email, some sort of an email plan that brings in, let's say, leads, right? And you come into the client and just provide sales as a service. This allows you to have a second wide receiver that is simply just sales services. It's not too far for you to be agile in your football team and say, you know what, I can really get away from providing Facebook ads, providing Google ads. You can even function with just SaaS as your main play, and then providing sales as a service and going to the client and saying, oh, cool. We'll take care of all your sales activities, no problem. We'll centralize all of it in one place. But just quick question, who's your marketing agency? How are you getting your leads? And you can simply say, I don't provide leads. As far as professional lead generation is concerned, I can provide you cold leads, right? And run them through whatever channels you want to. And you can even be agile, especially when you've locked in a great relationship with one of the partners and you don't even have the lift of managing those teams, right? So think bigger on this, guys. There's more flexibility here than what you think. It's not just managing Facebook leads. It's really managing the small business owners sales department.
Yeah,
What were you going to say, Robin?
Yeah, and from a high level perspective, a lot of the features and enhancements that we're building, it might feel disjointed. And it's just because that's development and we have so many teams now that's building products. But the core of it is we're trying to help marketing agencies get layups. And so tools where you can put a widget on a website. Well, a lot of businesses, mostly if you're working with durable grade businesses, right? Like the local furniture store or the tire shop that's been there for 20 years, people naturally know them and they're going to go to that website. Well, if you put a widget on there, on that website, and people are going to automatically message in. Well, that's great for you as the agency, or if you're trying to run the SaaS play, you're driving free leads that come in. But guess what? Those leads are worthless if no one is doing anything with it. So that, we're doing stuff like that. We're also heavily working on a integration with Google My Business, which allows you to bring in messaging there. So another aspect of bringing in more free traffic. A lot of people find the business in Google Maps. So you press a button and say message business. Well, it's great. It's coming into the platform, but we're back to square one. You're going to lose the client. They're going to say there's no value here. Thank you for giving me these contacts, but it didn't bring me any customers, so I'm losing it. So with all the work that we're doing, we're also trying to make sure that you guys understand that the partners are the easy back end so that you can just only focus on sales and really grow your agency.
Yeah, definitely. Claude says, any idea on, I'm sorry, we already addressed that. Claude says, what would be the best way to present Eliza to potential client? In a demo presentation or outright on our website or prospecting material? So honestly, Claude, it's not about selling transportation, right? It's about selling the destination of where you're taking that business. And you want to think like the CMO of that business, right? So from that perspective, I'm not even really focused on selling it as if, hey, I have this cool thing called Eliza and I've got a whole team behind me. I'm going to present it very simply and say, hey, guess what? We can generate leads for you, or if you already have your own leads, we can convert those for you, right? So what you want to do is sell it as if you're going to come in and manage their sales process. They should feel like they want to fire their front desk. At the end of the day, they should feel like I can possibly let my front desk go and let your team, Claude, handle all of their sales components, right? And that's really the positioning that you want to pay attention to, more than saying, hey, I've got this great platform called Eliza, and I've got these partners. Your clients are not going to buy from you just because you have a new tech piece. They're not going to buy from you because you have the next latest and greatest thing. And I don't know if you on here, I had talked about position yourself as the GM or the coach rather than the water boy, right? And I didn't really hound on that point because when I think about water boy, I think about one trick ponies, right? You just have Facebook ads and you live and die and breathe by whatever that is, right? And today you can't position your whole business around something like that. You really have to think of it as like a full offensive coordinator where you're like, you know what? Let me bring in my sales team. Let me bring in my marketing team, especially if you're going through marketplace, right? We're even able to help you lift that entire piece off of your shoulders on fulfillment, right? And that way you can just stay the CMO and the coordinator that has their pulse on everything, and they're starting to pay you for your business acumen. They're starting to pay you as if you're a consultant or you understand that industry, right? So hopefully that helps, Claude. Let's see. Adi says, yeah, we work with client acquisition and fulfillment. Yes, we guide you on that price as well. Yeah, and I think that brings up a good point. Remember, everybody that we have vetted out as partners are great business owners themselves. I would probably spend some time and money just to get on a call with them, just to understand what they do on a daily basis. So you can actually model off of and get inspiration from some of those things. And I'm sure most of the partners, and if not all, will provide you resources and ideas and concepts of how to even package this up together, even give you SOPs or whatever else each one of them have. Okay, so I would say interview every single one of them and get the best option and establish the right relationship for yourself. Amin says, is Eliza similar to Gubagoo in the automotive niche, right? And
Yeah,
actually we talked about this.
yeah. Let me answer that. So this is why, like I said, we're doing a lot of development and it feels disjointed, but I promise we have a big vision on how it's all going to come together. And you hear us talking quite a bit around SaaS. You should be selling the software. Well, if you're in the automotive space, or you can take their same model, go into another industry and play the same game. You can go to, the medical industry, sell the software as well as the automated follow-up and the human rollover, and it becomes a very turnkey package. And that's exactly what Gubagoo is doing. It's They have a CRM and they do the follow-ups and they leverage it with a little bit of AI as well as the opportunity to do human rollover, which is, their internal answering service. And they charge, I think it's like $2,000 a month or $1,500 a month based on how many conversations they have. And it's just a full turnkey system. And you can do that and so much more, leveraging everything that we're bringing to the table from a technology perspective, as well as the relationships and the partners that we have as well. So you can just say, that's who we're competing against. I have all the tools and resources that HighLevel and Eliza's bringing.
Yeah, so the cool thing is these models already exist. People are already providing this across multiple industries. It's time that you can level up and not have to build up this massive team, and you're leveraging fellow high levelers within our own family that are running great businesses that can complement you. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I would say it's very similar to the business model. You can leverage that concept and figure out which industry you want to go into and put together a very strong offer. Adi says it is if you pair it with the human rollover. Exactly. So it's one thing to just have the technology and the framework. It's another thing to have it very accurate and functioning, right? And that's where the human rollover comes in. Jennifer says, hey there, sorry, I'm been in and out. So when exactly is Eliza available? If I upgrade now, can I get it? So again, like I mentioned, you don't necessarily have to upgrade to your pro plan to have Eliza. All you need to first do is go to, let's see, call eliza.com/partners, and you'll be able to book appointments with all 4 partners, right? Or if you like one over the other, just go to one of them, whichever one, and figure out which partner makes sense for you. So it's already available, Jennifer. You don't have to upgrade to anything. I would say first talk to the partners, figure out what kind of relationship you want to build, and because they already are providers, they can set you up with their own accounts and things like that. You don't necessarily have to update anything. I would say first talk to the partners. Patrick says, do we have a white label teaser or promo video summarizing the type of support Eliza can provide so we can prospect with. Yeah, I'm pretty sure every single one of the partners will have their own materials and content and things like that. In addition, I'm going to be building out more content that'll help you close deals, right? Kind of like how Claude was asking how to position this to your clients. I'll put together some content for you guys and things of that nature. Let's see. Looks like Dean Howe just jumped in, so we may have Dean chime in and just say hello to us. But yeah, I would say go to the partners. So it's calleliza.com/partners. And here's a link, guys. So if you go to, yeah, this is the link right here, and you can go to each one of them and set up your appointments and things like that. Dean, are you there, man? I know you just jumped in just now.
Yeah, I'm
You
here.
want to just you want to just say hello? Joe and Adi earlier had just introduced themselves to us, and we were excited to meet them. And we want to meet you as well, man. Tell us about you and how you're partnering up and what this all means.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Dean Ha, and I'm the owner of Renegade Media. We've been working with high ticket clients now since 2012. Most of our clients that we deal with are doctors, dentists, chiropractors, pretty much any business owner that sells a product or service that's at least $3,000 or more is kind of what our forte is. And we drive campaigns to those types of businesses. And right now, we currently provide a service where our agents will follow up with those leads. So we do two sides of the equation, where we run the ad campaign or a marketing campaign to drive leads or opportunities, and then we also offer a agent rollover where our staff will pick up and actually follow up with those leads to book those appointments or get them to the next stage in the buying process. So that's kind of what we do. And I'm just really excited about helping anybody that's looking to generate more sales. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Dean. And just so you guys know, I didn't ask anybody to jump in, any one of these partners, because my intention was to continue to help understand and create educational content, and they all have different schedules, things like that. But if you want to set up an appointment with any one of them, go to calleliza.com/partners. I see that Robin had put a link in the chat. And we're getting questions like, do you guys work with mortgage originators? Do you guys work with healthcare? Is your, hey, Dean, is your team on the phones in the US or is it offshores? What I would do is, guys, set up appointments with every single one of them. They'll be able to go into the specifics. Here's what I know about how we put this whole thing together. We know that we didn't want the same partners across the board in 4 different ways, right? They are all different. They have their own competitive advantages. They have their strengths and weaknesses. They have their industry expertise, different pricing, different price models, different resources. Every single one of them, I think you should just spend some time with and understand how you can mix and mash all these things. Anybody have any question that they didn't get a chance to put into the chat? If you want to unmute yourself, feel free, and we'll go through about 5-6 more minutes of Q&A, and then we'll call it a day and load this up onto the standard YouTube channel. Anybody want to unmute and have some questions here? Let's see. Okay. All right, guys. Well, have a good rest of your afternoon. Dean just answered you, whoever that was. He said we have teams both in the U.S. and overseas. Awesome. So those of you that were watching in the Facebook community, I'm going to come back and answer your questions there. And I look forward to connecting with all of you. Again, for you to connect with a lot of the partners, go to calleliza.com/partners. Okay. And that website's going to look like this for those of you that want to check it out. All 4 of our elite partners are there. Feel free to connect with them, figure out how you mesh with them, create your business relationships. We've vetted them out. We're excited to be working with them, and let us know if you have more questions, and we'll go from there. Have a good rest of your afternoon, guys. Bye.